If you had it all, would you look the fall and beyond? Or would you walk away this time? Do you realize, do you recognize it's never over? Or would you walk away this time? 'Cause we all face the fire as we search for the light in the dead of the night. Will you rise above the days to come? Will it be enough? Or will you walk away this time? Look to your left, to your right, there by your side. 'Cause we all face the fire as we search for the light in the dead of the night. Feel that rush, feel the tide. Can you feel this newfound change? Only yourselves are here again. Feel the rush, feel the tide. 'Cause here begins a newfound strength. Find yourselves out here. We won't be the same again. If you had it all, but you looked the fall in the eye, could you walk away this time? Do you realize, do you recognize it's never over? 'Cause we all face the fire as we search for the light on the edge of the night. Feel that rush, feel the tide. Can you feel this newfound change? Only yourselves are here again.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Champions League. Today, the best Risen have to offer continued their road as we pass the halfway point through the regular season. And the matchup we'll be having, two teams that are 2-1 each, with 7 Gang looking to avenge their loss as they take on the Junior Talents. I'm your caster of the day, Eric Deserix Beltran, followed by my co-caster. It's going to be Rebel Fox. And Fox, we're heading into the second half of the regular season, and with a fresh patch to boot.
That we are. Might mean some new openings, especially in that jungle pool for champions to be able to come through. And obviously, somebody like Gang 7 desperately needs to continue to get wins so that they could try to make that climb for playoffs. Junior Talents, of course, being that team at the top of their group is really, really nice for them. Continuing their momentum into playoffs, also super pivotal.
Yeah, and Group 1, a very competitive group as well. One of the only groups that didn't have a 3-0 team leaving that week number 3. So really, first seed, second seed, it's definitely up in the air.
that is certainly super competitive across everybody. I don't know if there's a specific favorite, but as you said, again, with that new patch dropping, maybe the team that kind of adapts closest on the fly is going to be the one with the definitive advantage to take wins over their counterparts. So definitely seeing some new picks, new innovations come out here will certainly help the teams when they come into the drafting, come into the games like this.
Yeah, and of course, getting onto that patch a little bit more, it was very focused towards the top side. You were talking about jungle, but really the gold plate changes are going to be more gold now, but more specifically, melee champions are going to do more damage to those towers. And not just that, itemization as well. Bork was buffed for melees, Ravenous Hydra and Titanic, both buffed as well. So there's a huge emphasis on the top lane for this 10.5 patch.
But there are. The ability to get more gold out of that topside plating also might pull more attention to that top side, and of course makes that Rift Herald all the more valuable to drop immediately towards the top side of the map. As you said, ranged champions might have a little bit less pressure in that top side, given that they do much less damage to those towers. Could also mean a rotation to the bottom lane, and the ability to have more of that damage for melee champions could be rather big as well, in terms of what they bring to the table on that one.
Yeah, and some significant changes towards champions. Of course, Set has been one of the biggest top lane threats. Did get nerfed going after his armor and health regen, as well as the slow duration off his ult. But what that really translates to is you can no longer be that crazy on Set. You do have some risk when you're going for those early trades, and of course an Ornn nerf as well.
Yeah, nerfs to those top two champions. I don't know if the Ornn nerf was massively impactful, or at minimum they took power out of places maybe that didn't impact super what made him first pickable, what made him that super dominant champion. Set, of course, got hit a little bit harder. Probably still capable of being played, especially into things like the Ornn matchup where he can get aggressive. But as you made very clear, obviously you can trade against him a lot easier now with that loss of armor. Also, really, it's harder to put him in the jungle now after all of that armor and health regen that he lost. So don't expect to see much jungle Set unless somebody's super proficient on the champion. Yeah,
and the big thing here is just how much Ornn has really been picked over and over the course of 10.4. 100% presence in competitive play altogether. Those nerfs were definitely well needed. It's not going to actually take him out of competitive, but it's definitely going to be pretty potent in slowing down just how effective Ornn has been. As the big thing about him is he's such a huge flex pick. You pick him early and you don't tell much information when you're able to grab it.
That you do, yeah, you can throw him into that top and mid position pretty flexibly. Also, seeing him go into the support role, I know a lot of people talk about Ornn jungle also is something that's completely viable in that particular regard. So something that can be flexed around the map super good. But as you said, I think with some of the power they took out, not to mention, as you said before, also you alluded to changes to itemization, specifically like on-hit top laners, things like the Aurelia that could build it, Jax that can build it, that can split push, beat the Ornn earlier in the laning phase and try to get that tower gold immediately, really can take him out of the game for the most part with that split push pressure. So I do think there's at least more ways to handle the Ornn now than there were last patch.
And talking about champions who might shine through because of that itemization, one of the big ones that stands out to me is Fiora, because it's something that both Racecar and Neo Restoration play on that top side. So I'm expecting more of those aggressive fighter type top laners start showing up, and both of these teams, they do have the pools in their top lane to start pulling it out.
Yeah, you see the Fiora share between the two, but I also see things like you got Camille, you got Fiora between the two pools, you have things like that. Yeah, as you said, not really going to see those tanks or that Ornn show up, any of those like Maokai's, Malphites, anything like that. I do expect, as you said, those fighters to show up in that lane, which means maybe it's possible the jungle is going to see more of that tank role, potentially seeing the Sejuani, the Zac, the Trundle as the counter pick being the counterparts. So they have that front line that these teams can adapt to.
Yeah, so our teams are taking a little bit longer to be able to get ready for this champion select, so we are going to throw it over to a short break. When we return, we'll be able to get right into that matchup, get into the draft, and see how this matchup between Junior Talents and Gang 7 will unfold. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Risen Esports Champions League, week number 4, Gang 7 versus Junior Talents. Now, we're breaking down 10.5 just a bit earlier, as well as how it's going to affect these teams. Are there any more expectations going into this matchup, Rebel Fox?
Man, it's hard to say. I do know Sarcasm and Linsanity both were, I mean, obviously TSM Sarcasm, he's on TSM's junior team, so below their academy team, but certainly been training with that team for quite some time. And then Linsanity is actually ex-academy league as well, so they have some really, really high-profile names. I assume these two played before. I don't know what the result of that game was, but certainly I have some high expectations for Junior Talents here and their ability to play. I would imagine that you'd play around Slurp. Slurp seems to be a very, very good player here for the side of Gang 7. Might expect to see some more bot side pressure there.
Yeah, and in their matchup before, it was 2-0 in favor of Junior Talents, so it is a bit of a revenge story coming out for Gang 7 as they look to take this win right here. A little bit more into the focus of the lanes, and I believe, looking back on the squad, that Junior Talents is a lot more solo lane focus. Not, I should say bot lane focus. I'm flipping this the other way around. Gang 7 is the more solo lane focused one, as most of their performance usually comes off of Optic Waffles and Race Car, which means that TSM Sarcasm is going to have quite a bit on his plate in terms of dealing with those, especially when it comes to lane priority, because you know how big that is for any jungler to be able to get control of the map.
Is something interesting also is actually Optic Waffles and Linsanity. I don't know what they've played currently throughout most of the league, but I do know most of them tend to play some assassin-like champions, so we could get a very volatile, very explosive mid-lane matchup that could be kind of determined by the better player, at least in the earlier stages here. So jungle pressure, also when you add in jungle pressure to some of the roaming that can come out from assassins, it will be rather important to the map state to be able to control there.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And yeah, I go back to those gold plate changes and, melee is doing more damage and the focus on the top side. TSM Sarcasm is going to have to spend a lot of time around there, and if he can get the upper edge on Best Turtle, you can get quite a snowball situation going on, especially on 10.5, where we might see more of these fighters start popping up.
That's correct, for that top side of the map, of course. I do know TSM Sarcasm seems to play a lot of AP junglers. I'm not sure exactly the reason. Maybe he has just a preference for it, but they tend to not clear quite as fast for their first few item builds until they have that Runic Echoes completed. So it does require that small ball again, as you were kind of alluding to. So TSM Sarcasm getting kills, getting some sort of pressure out on the map very early, rather than just pure power farming, might actually be beneficial for him. So he could try to spike to that Runic Echoes, catch back up and farm on the way back down the map when he starts to clear back from that topside gank.
Yeah, maybe he just needs to hop on one of the junglers that Riot's been pushing for a while now. Darius, Mord, Poppy, they were just they were just buffed in their non-champion damage. So you do get more of a clear speed out of them, but no one's been too keen on taking those, at least in competitive play. Mord might be able to flex there, though, as he is a big pick for both the top and mid lane.
Yeah, I think also, especially with the rise of things like Sejuani and Zac, we could potentially see a Poppy grab here across these two teams. It looks like the Spectator, that we've gotten through the draft already.
Yeah, so a little bit of technical difficulties, but we got the draft up, and taking a good look at this, TSM Sarcasm is the first thing that pops out to me because he got Lee Sid, he got a champion where he can have that fast-paced aggression that he's known for.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, you have Diana in the mid lane for Linsanity here up against Optic Waffles Ornn. Again, Ornn is a very good champion. We have no issues there. My problem is with the control that Diana can have, with the damage and especially her roaming potential, you add that to Lee Sin and you can affect both side lanes, and specifically Set versus Kayle should be a Kayle matchup towards the later stages of the phase, or the laning phase. The problem is early on, she's ranged, not going to do that damage to towers. Set also going to have much more support from the Lee Sin and the Diana that you would expect to have. So now Racecar has to do a ton of work, and maybe Best Turtle as well, to secure this top side of the map to make sure they don't just get snowballed against it. And that's the real fear here from the side of Junior Talents.
Oh yeah, I absolutely feel that fear. I mean, we talked about the Set nerf as well. That is the only silver lining that you really got to go for. That harassment that you get in lane will stick a bit more, but it's still Set. He's still a very aggressive champion that can bully around quite a bit. Throwing it over to the bot lane as well. Sivir is a champion that was recently buffed off this last patch, so it's definitely going to be nice to see her here, both her Q and her R receiving buffs against this Ezreal Braum lane.
Yeah. This is actually a lane that's a little bit of a throwback. So when Sivir was last meta, Ezreal was seen as kind of a counter to her because her spell shield only works against the one spell. So if he uses E, Q, W, any of those gets blocked, doesn't really matter because he's got a ton more spells in the arsenal ready to use afterwards. So it's really only for the mana regeneration Sivir doesn't have to worry about, but the trade damage is pretty good. Of course, Ezreal Braum, difficult to engage against. If the Braum throws the shield at the wrong time, Thresh can absolutely punish a lane like this.
Yeah, so we have an interesting matchup right here. There's definitely a lot of changes going on from 10.5 that we saw. You know, some of those minor buffs are shining through, as well as the nerfs not really shining through as much. Ornn was still picked in the mid lane over for, I believe that was Gang 7 who grabbed it. Over into the matchup of, refresh my memory, who did Linsanity able to grab?
He had Diana.
Yeah, so Diana into Ornn matchup. And the big thing there is Ornn's percent, I believe it was percent health damage from the Brill stacks is now nerfed a little bit. So he's not going to be as aggressive as he was normally.
Yeah, certainly won't have that same kind of massive impact that we had seen before. Not to mention, I mean, he has to get later in the levels in order to actually have any sort of impact in that regard, so not have to worry about that one. But that early trading damage that would go on to Insanity when he gets those brittle procs off is going to be a little bit lower, and definitely can soak that from the shield from Diana as well.
And then, of course, once we get towards the late stages of the game, there is a lot of scaling going over for Gang 7, and what that translates well to is team fights over those neutral objectives, over the Baron, over those late-stage dragons, because the On the Hunt giving all that movement speed, as well as the Divine Judgment, Call of the Forge God, it all comes together so well. Meanwhile, on the side of Junior Talents, they're looking for more skirmishy fights. They want to tear apart the squad of Gang 7 and take them out, kind of just trying to play a numbers game throughout a team fight.
That they are, and again, with their ability to pick off with things like the Lee Sin, separate fights in that particular regard, and their penchant for this early game snowball, they really do want to try to win earlier on into the game, try to at least get the Kayle or the Sivir behind so they can put a little more focus into one of the two, because of course the engage from Ornn and the Gragas combined with the Sivir ultimate makes for a very difficult team fight if Sivir and Kayle go unchecked into the later stages. So you do have tools to make that work. You have Lee Sin to kick in one of these two, you've got Insanity to pop one of them very, very quickly as well. So it could be, relatively simple, especially if they're able to disengage a fight with Neo Restoration, ulting Optic Waffles back into a team or something of that sort. But certainly it gets harder to play this composition on the side of Junior Talents as the game continues.
And one of the big things is what you were just talking about, Linsanity sarcasm. Especially in the early game. If you're able to get Linsanity ahead, you have such a nasty double jungle you can do with that, where you just roam together and start tearing apart that map. The early game is going to be hell for Gang 7 they're going to have to be paranoid of the potential that can come out from Junior Talents early.
They will. Especially, I think, so you do a lot of things here. I'm going to see what Linsanity took. He opts for the Conqueror, which is something that you see on Diana rather often. I actually might have preferred him go Hail of Blades in this particular game because I think it's better for instant trading against Optic Waffles. I don't think you find an extended trade against an Ornn that often that you're going to win even after the nerf. So in my mind, Linsanity should be focused primarily on bursting out targets and then also quicker trading against Ornn to try to, stem the bleeding from what would be an extended fight with those brittle procs. So in my mind, maybe it would have been better, but the Conqueror healing should be helpful for him in those later game fights.
Now, one more note to our audience. Want to be a bunch of savvy ducks? Be sure to bet those Travy bucks. Gang 7 versus Junior Talents.
Yeah. Interesting. So I want to actually take a look at something really quick here. Yeah, I'm looking at Omnistone right now on the Kayle. that's kind of what I'm alluding to here. You don't see Omnistone that often on most champions, and I'm not sure Kayle always likes to take that rune. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm certainly not a Kayle main at any juncture whatsoever, but I'm not sure that rune gives the most optimal. I mean, you have things like you can go Conqueror if you want just later game healing. You can go Lethal Tempo for additional attack speed. You can go plenty of things Airy if you want a little more defense. Not sure what the Omnistone is for here.
And this is going to hurt right here. A lot of harassment could come in early, and a ridiculous amount, sub 200 health, sub 100 health even, and Rayscar is not off to a good start.
Yeah, that was a fantastic little start. Both of them end up giving up their first 3 melee minions in order for that, but Neo Restoration destroys Race Car there, burns one proc, probably will have to burn 2 charges of that of that corrupting potion just to stay in the laning phase. It's a ridiculous trade from Neo Restoration. Well done by him.
Yeah, and I was just looking up the statistics. At least in solo queue, that rune is taken less than 1% of a time, so Omnistone's pretty rare here.
That it is. Not going to be able to see that one too often here. Of course, with that corrupting potion, with the W as well, wouldn't be too bad for the KO, but obviously with that early trade going his way, Neo Restoration should feel perfectly fine to push up here. Ooh, Optic Waffles missed the...
Yeah, mistiming that one. And gonna pay for it, but able to get the brittle stacks in and still return the damage. So already aggression going on in the mid lane quite early. Might draw the attention of some junglers.
That it will. The other thing is the corrupting potion and also biscuits of everlasting life for the Ornn here makes it difficult to kill that sustained. Sarcasm is up here on the top side.
Looking to find the dive. Not much left for Race Car, but there's going to be a gank in the mid lane as well. Insanity now on the run. 2 beefy boys looking to hunt down the mid laner. Gonna get the slow. The flash is not going to do too much here. 2 more autos will be able to finish the job. Coming in for the save. The shield goes through. It's going to be first blood going over to the best turtle, and it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade on top of it. Neo Restoration able to get the return kill.
Yeah, nice little trade there. Does require the rotation and 3 separate flashes here on the side of Junior Talents. So a lot expended there just to get the 1 return kill. Wasn't even the first kill of the game. Nice little pressure there from Best Turtle to be able to get Linsanity out. Gets his flash and his TP. So now summonerless Diana in the mid lane shouldn't feel as comfortable just roaming around. Definitely more punishable than she was just a minute ago.
And of course the top lane as well, because the kill went over to Neo, who's already finding early success in that lane. So it's only going to get that much harder.
And it will. You see also the Negatron cloak there completed for the Ornn. Makes it very difficult for Linsanity to do damage. Already probably wasn't going to be doing tons of damage in this laning phase, but now just going to be an absolute nightmare trying to take this one.
Ooh, able to dodge away from the knockup, but jungler for jungler here, both showing up in the mid lane. Best Turtle looking to body slam back in, get some damage on to TSM Sarcasm, but Optic Waffles is starting to run low, and it's Junior Talents. We're going to be able to get the better of that exchange as well as the turret dive kill. Linsanity tries to walk away, but will fall to the tower, and Optic Waffles turns it around for the double.
Feels so bad from the side of Junior Talents. It started off so well. They get the poke damage down, get a little bit back and forth, feel comfortable diving into the tower, but all of the CC that can come out from the combination of the Gragas and the Ornn, and of course those brittle procs making it so difficult. And the tower this early on is just going to pack a massive punch. So overextension from Junior Talents. Almost goes their way, but they're under a tower. They can't be diving this early on, especially against the Ornn, putting him in a much better spot. Now Diana feels dead in the water in the mid lane at this point. Really just has to try to focus on roam.
Yeah, and already getting that Negatron cloak, working towards that Abyssal Mask, and then he can get the upgrade. And once that upgrade goes through, Linsanity's not going to find much damage on the Optic Waffles, so that mistake having some real repercussions so far early on.
And it does. Even worse is Linsanity, of course, building that attack speed, meaning the combination of the two is really, really good on Diana, but going to stall that AP, which makes it a little harder to CS with her abilities. Not to mention that shield strength going to be a little bit lower if she's focusing more on this attack speed early on. So better trading potential here from Optic Waffles given the build path of Linsanity at the moment. Sarcasm is starting up the jungle. We see the pathing from Gragas there, though.
Yeah, Best Turtle will be able to spot out this dragon attempt. First Drake will be Ocean Drake, and a little bit of lane priority means that Junior Talents are going to have a good position on this Drake. The response to the bot lane of Gang 7's coming too late, coming over the wall, not going to be able to get the steal, putting down the Lantern, but you might have have just sacrificed your life for no better cause, but somehow Benison's able to get Loco Asian.
Really nice damage over the wall there from that. The Best Turtle unfortunately going down during that fight, not getting the Dragon Eats pretty bad, but of course pick up Loco Asian there on the back side of that fight. Super good for them. Now more skirmishing in the mid lane.
Yeah, just back and forth. Actually, call the Forge God come out. Optic Waffles. He's kind of taking the bait right here because here comes TSM Sarcasm. Level 5, but he already has enough damage to really punish that Ornn because it's all magic resist. He's getting through that as he's pure AD.
That he is, yeah. A little strange of an engagement there from Optic Waffles. He knew his jungler wasn't going to be on the map. And he didn't see Sarcasm pass over to the other side, but they have no vision in the river, so just overextending, thinking he can take the fight against Linsanity. Not going to be able to do so here. So nice little return kill. 4 for 4. The team's pretty much even, but that early Dragon, especially the Ocean Drake, really valuable here for the side of Junior Talents.
And Gang 7, good start for them so far, especially considering it's off the back of going 0-2 against Junior Talents earlier in the season. You want that revenge, and you want to make that run for playoffs. This is going to be the last rotation in this round robin. So this is the big run right here. Get those final wins, get that first or second seeding.
That they do. It's really important for them to take wins like this, especially, again, in a division like this one where it is so competitive. Winning against another one of these 2-1 teams does give you a much, much better chance of getting in to that playoff contention. I'm going to point attention to something here really quick. This bottom side of the map right here, we're going to see... Oh, that's not where I was at. But yeah, my bad. Yeah, little minion aggro on the bottom side of the map. They're pushing in constantly on the bottom side, and I assumed it was because they wanted to set up a few minute here on the Rift Herald. But unfortunately, Gragas gets pushed out of his river by the Lee Sin. You see Sarcasm right there. Not able to get that one off.
Yeah, they're trying to find the collapse in the mid lane, and Best Turtle's walking towards it, but he's caught out by a control ward. So no pincer movement. No kill onto Insanity. Just overall, it's a very low-tempo game, all things considered. You're expecting to go fast, but these teams are giving a lot of respect to each other. It's mostly been Sarcasm reacting to a lot of the moves coming out of Turtle.
Yeah, been doing a great job of that as well. Of course, again, he was proactive on this Rift Herald, but he gets pushed off because he just isn't able to right now. Back on that Rift Herald. Nobody here to support him. Again, their bottom lane had a pushing lane on the side of Gang 7 here, but it bounced off the turret because they were a little bit late on that one. Vanity.
Yeah, going for the engagement. Best Turtle forced to use the explosive cast over the wall as Race Car. Gonna find some damage, getting it in. Low health, Divine Judgment goes out, but TSM Sarcasm is still able to claim the kill, make it 2, both onto the jungler and to the mid laner. Race Car forced to walk away. More kills picked up for Junior Talent and more pressure applied from TSM Sarcasm as he's able to get the Dragon's Rage. Far from home is Race Car. Neo Restoration trying to finish the job with the showstopper. Race Car goes down and Junior Talent, they're able to grab a lead.
Yeah, not playing around with that one whatsoever. Just going to burn that Flash Ultimate on Neo Restoration. And again, this is what we wanted to see from the side of Junior Talents. They have the what should be stronger side, top side of the map here. So they are using that to their advantage, trying to bully out the Kale, make sure she can't get anything comfortable. And of course, Best Turtle not able to find anything important himself either. So thankfully, starting to get that on the side of Junior Talent. This is also going to be a big one. As we said, top lane perks do give a little bit more gold for that plating. So Lee Sin and the set up here in the top side could be looking for more aggression into Kale, and once that comes through, they could look to take that tower, get a ton of gold onto themselves, and that's when they really take over the game.
And Gang 7's not really recognizing at what stage of the game they're strong at, because they opted into that fight, and Kale's nowhere near being a good champion at that stage of the game. Optic Waffle still hasn't completed an item. While Gragas is good and all, Lee Sin is better, Set is better, Diane is better at this stage of the game. So they got to start recognizing that and understanding that they have to take some of those losses and just be able to walk away from them.
Yeah, again, that late game scaling goes their way. The Kale, the Sivir, certainly feeling good. In fact, actually, Sivir doing a great job. The BF Sword 2 only the tier right now in the inventory of the Ezreal. When we talk about that, we're going to, we can just take a look. We were able to see Cole also for a little bit more damage, but right now, trading potential for the Sivir is just absolutely massive. That's why you see Gragas on the bottom side as well. Looking for that gank because they do have the much more powerful bot lane at the moment, and that is again one of their late game scaling champions that they could take advantage of early on in the laning phase to try to snowball so that they can bypass this whole topside skirmishing thing that's been going on.
And now Infernal Drake will be the next Drake up, just spawned, so circling this area, looking to get control over it. Pushing in the bot lane is Aaron. Wants to really force it in, get that lane priority, and just be able to rotate over towards the Drake as Linsanity is doing over in the mid lane. But some preemptive movements coming out of Slurps and Benison as well.
We already have Benison on that dragon immediately, and Insanity being able to push in the mid lane means that this is a very free ability for them to take that dragon. No contention, once again, for a neutral objective from Best Turtle. The control right now of TSM Sarcasm on this Lee Sin is just massive, and his reach just continues to grow as the game continues, and that's 2 dragons now for the side of Junior Talents.
And it's going to be a Mountain Drake map on top of that. 2 minutes left on these turret plates, and turret plate game in the bot lane going pretty strongly in favor of Gang 7, and that should be the nature of it. We do have a recently buffed Sivir versus Ezreal, who only has his tier. He definitely needs to either be able to complete that tier item or at least grab a Sheen. But look at this in the mid lane. Sarcasm relentless with this gank, forcing the flash out of Optic, who's able to sidestep the Sonic Wave. But Linsanity starting to feel it, sucks it back in, denies the call of the Forge God, but will pay for it with his life. A 1-for-1 trade.
Feels so bad right there for Linsanity. He tries to go, and actually I believe he denied the re-ultimate there from the Ornn to be able to prevent himself from taking that secondary damage, but it didn't matter. The tower was on him very quickly. Maybe 1 or 2 more tower shots from Sarcasm could have been tanked in order to make sure that he could get out of that one, but certainly just a little bit of a trade. Yeah, you're going to see this. You see Linsanity coming in from the top side here. Sarcasm, as you said, Optic Waffles hasn't built armor yet, so Sarcasm does a ton of damage. Right there, he could have stood in the tower range and tried to get more. Yeah, did disrupt that ultimate secondary, and Linsanity able to get that one. I don't know that he gets out either way, but certainly a little bit more patience from Sarcasm might have been able to protect his mid laner.
And with that death, Optic was able to buy his Abyssal Mask now, so this is where things get a little bit tricky for Linsanity. You were talking about earlier, going for the attack speed Nashor's Tooth first. Not going to get that much damage onto that mid lane Ornn. And look at this invade coming in. Loco Asian taking the double jungle route over towards the top side with Sarcasm.
Correct. We do see Braum on the bottom side of the map here. Actually, see everything back in favor of this topside dive.
Yeah, they're looking to find it. There goes Divine Judgment. The flash comes out. Glacial Fissure will not find the knockup onto Turtle. Turtle able to get under the tower in time, but the minion wave is being cleared by Neo Restoration. Here comes the dive. Can't get the Dragon's Rage combo, but still grabs the kill nonetheless, and so does Neo. The 3-man dive pays off, and now it's time to cash into some plates. Only 8 seconds left.
Yeah, fantastically used portion of that one. Also, the 3 melee champions, 2 now on that top side tower, going to be able to take a lot of those plates. A good amount of gold going their way. Now you see Loco Asian also rotating into the mid lane here.
Able to get some damage in onto Optic. Optic will find a sidestep. He's a tanky boy now. He's got that Abyssal Mask. He's able to sustain some of that damage. But look at this pressure coming out of Gang 7 in the bot lane. They're looking to grab first brick.
That they are able to
sit second. Right.
Yeah, they get the top lane tower there. Yeah, fantastic work by them. Again, the Sivir is that win condition, and right now Slurps feels perfectly comfortable just sitting in this laning phase alongside the Ezreal. Ezreal gets abandoned there for a trade of that top side tower. So while, yes, you have a lot of instantaneous gold going in both pockets, especially with that first tower going down, the Sivir is picking up gold at a pretty decent rate. So when this mid game starts to come around, when that Infinity Edge specifically comes through, that's when she can start to fight and really be a menace to even the strong champions, even people like Linsanity, Neo Restoration, and Sarcasm.
Still quite a bit of gold to get there, and you're still going against a pretty tough team in Junior Talents, as they have been able to dominate this top side of the map, and that just might continue right now, because look at Linsanity's pathing. He's headed up to make Race Car's life hell, and let's see what happens as that unfolds.
Oh,
Comes the gank. Waiting to rush in. Race Car trying to run away. Able to get the reset off the Q. The damage is there, but the flash is failed from Linsanity. And yeah, that's a walk of shame right there. Pretty tough. True Shot Barrage going out. Will not find its mark. And you hate to see it. The meme is there. It just hurts.
That is the case. That flash, unfortunately, not able to be used whatsoever. So it's kind of a shame not being able to get that flash over the wall. It is a really thick part of the wall. Actually, fight coming out here.
Oh, yeah. Sarcasm going after Turtle. Turtle no. Over the wall and styled on as Sarcasm just destroys him. Now Slurps on the run. Will find the turret in time as the death sentence goes out. Pulling in Loco Asian. Sarcasm trying to find Slurps. A lot of autocus going on to Sarcasm. And now Slurps looking pretty hurt here. Gets knocked up by the Glacial Fissure, but the Sonic Wave will not land. Slurps survives by the skin of his teeth.
That fight was very, very close to breaking very loose for him from the side of Junior Talents. Not able to get those last couple kills. Could have a very well-timed stopwatch and just that last little miscue. Still does give him priority on this second Rift Herald of the game. And they're playing this top side so well. Loco Asian has started to join Sarcasm in some of these ganks to be able to provide some of the extra CC and damage protection so that these duels always go in their way. Not to mention the set on the bottom side of the map should be able to push really well into Ornn now, especially with no armor. Only the Ninja Tab I completed. Make Optic Waffle's life very hard.
Ooh, here comes the attack. Neo looking to go after Optic. Call the Forge God will get the knockup, but his health is too far too low. Neo I mean, the Abyssal Mask was done, but that doesn't do anything against Set.
Yeah, the lane swap, really, really effective. Again, if you don't have the armor, didn't have the chain vest for that last fight, did have that one extra cloth armor, but none of that built was enough to stop the Trinity Force Set from just popping off in these 1v1 engagements. I don't know that anybody actually can step to Set right now in terms of side lane pressure. Even that ranged Kale doesn't quite have the Hextech Gunblade completed now. Going to be third Dragon here, barring a steal from Slurp's Q. Gotta think that this is going to be another one confirmed from the side of Junior Talents. Yeah, not even close on that one. So 3 Dragons now taken relatively for free. All these neutral objectives just being absolutely run over by Junior Talents, especially with Sarcasm's pressure.
Yeah, Sarcasm's pressure has been absolutely insurmountable to deal with. It's pretty tough, and now you're seeing this focus over towards the mid lane. This tower's not long for this world, and even if they are... Well, they grab it nonetheless. Don't even got to continue that point, but here comes the pressure. Insanity's starting to go forward. It's going to be a teleport for a teleport as Neo shows up in the bot lane as well. Sarcasm starting to roam on down through the jungle. We'll find a Sonic Wave onto Benison's, but it's a 4-man squad waiting to surprise him. Hopping over the wall. The body slam lands. There goes the Sonic Wave. Sarcasm not willing to jump in just yet. It's going to be retreat for the Junior Talent. Not willing to take that fight. Not good enough for them, but there comes another death sentence. Might force the fight out as there's the knockup going after Loco Asian, who's able to go golden in time. Sarcasm jumps in. Glacial Fisher will get the knockup onto 2 as Best Turtles force the flash away. Here comes Call the Forge God and Junior Talent. The health bar is so low. Linsanity jumps in, looking to turn it around, and that's exactly what he'll do as he'll find the instant triple kill. Now Optic Waffles on the run. Still Tanky Boy finds a Quadra knockup. Will get the kill on the Loco, but it cost him his life as Aaron will take down the Ornn, and now Junior Talent, it was almost looking like disaster, but they're able to continue up the pressure and get this bot lane tower.
They are just amazing. Oh, Insanity's not done.
Oh, he is not. He's still diving in. It's a high health bar this time, so he has no worries about dying to the turret for the 3rd time.
This fight was so close to start with here. You see the initial hook onto the Braum. Doesn't actually burn the shield because he knows the damage doesn't matter. He throws the stopwatch instead, which is very important. You'll see why here in a second. Very low health bars here on the side of this team. But this right here, the block of the Ornn ultimate, allows for Linsanity to re-engage afterwards because there's no threat of CC coming through now. So immediately has the cooldowns readily available for that immediate triple kill. And Optic Waffles and Benison's just running away for their lives. The rest of the team able to get quite a bit. They get the 1, we're able to get the set during that fight, but just a phenomenal setup there. And Linsanity cleaning up after a great block of the ultimate from the Braum.
And I just gotta say, it is a blue side Ornn pick, so most likely that Ornn was first pick. If you're blue side and you're looking to take that Ornn, that is exactly why you ban away something like Braum.
Yeah, and like I said, Loco Asian, he was in a very rough spot to start that off. I am shocked that he was able to hold his grit there and just keep the shield cooldown for himself and for the team, because otherwise it would have been rough. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh. Not much to say there. That's completely caught. Yeah, just went off to the side lane, decided to take a whiz, turned around, 2 hungry bears staring him right in the eyes.
It's tough, yeah, playing the Kale. That's going to be this week at this point in the game, up against 2 very high mobility assassin characters that have quite a bit of gold this early on. This tower actually might go down. Oh, Insanity has a ton of damage. Yeah, that's super easy.
A bot lane inhibitor tower down.
Oh!
And the engagement coming out of Linsanity destroys Slurps and is able to go gold and dodge out of most of the crowd control, but not the explosive cast, which will force out the flash. But look at this pressure on this inhibitor with no ADC for the wave clear in the top lane or the mid lane.
Yeah. ADC in the mid lane pushing that up. Of course, with this extra pushing, they have to respond very heavily to the bot side because that pressure of losing the inhibitor is going to be there. They're actually not going to. They're going to roam back the other direction and try to keep their towers up. They're going to lose this inhibitor on the bottom side. That's going to be super pivotal when it comes to defending against the Baron buff. And with an Ezreal, a Diana, Lee Sin set, they have a ton of damage, especially DPS. Oh,
diving in here. TSM Sarcasm biting off more than he can chew. Now Linsanity looking for the re-engage, but it's going to be the call the Forge God used. Finds the knockup. Glacial Fisher goes out, not going to land onto anything. So Linsanity drops Aaron and Asian completely on the run. Still at the top lane. Neo trying to get some turret damage, but finally Gang 7 able to win a team fight.
Now, hold on, I want to see this really quickly. The Kale picked up 2,000 gold shutdown. I want to see the itemization difference after she gets this back. Yeah, the Nashor's Tooth is the only thing that gets bought. That's a little unfortunate there, but really, really nice. The Kale, of course, again, two 1,000 gold shutdowns is a massive amount of gold influx for one of your late game carries. And the Sivir almost getting the Infinity Edge. That's really terrifying. So great damage done from the side of Junior Talent, but really giving those kills over super sloppy, especially since Race Car has them.
Yeah, and now with the way this is going to be with Gang 7 is they are starting to hit that scaling point, so there is some life that they're going to be able to bring to the Rift now. It's just a question of what stage of the game Lee Sin are we dealing with? Is Sarcasm still going to be able to do those very insane backline plays where he kicks someone in, where he kicks someone in, or will it be thwarted by a body slam? Are we going to start seeing this team fight come together for G7? We're going to find out around this dragon.
Yeah, they immediately flooded in from their bottom side of the map. Again, their bot wave is pushed in as well.
Ooh, Aaron getting caught out, takes a load of damage, but will not go down. Best Turtle forced to go golden to delay for just a bit as the True Shot barrage goes out. Wants onto a few.
Diana, very...
Okay, started where low as Diana goes in, able to grab 3, goes golden as well as Aaron's able to grab 1 kill. Here comes the knock up, here comes the pain from Junior Talent, blocking out the call of the Forge God and destroying the rest of Gang 7. It's going to be a clean ace, says Junior Talent, run it down the mid lane.
That TP ultimate there from Linsanity was insanity. That's the only thing that you could call in this particular case. He got 5 members in. I'm pretty sure it was a 5-man ultimate, and while most of them didn't take damage from it, it was more than enough to take away any of the ability for them to disengage that fight. And then of course Lee Sin gets to backline. You've got Set on the front line. You've got Israel to work front to back. You have way too much damage, and for a composition that needed to work early, they put the pressure on and won so well. Played fantastically to their composition.
Yeah, Gang 7, not the winners for this one. Junior Talents, there we go. So Junior Talents able to grab the win right there, and definitely a good job. It was on a knife's edge for quite a long time. If Gang 7 were able to stall out and still go even for at least that stage of the game, that's when things might have started changing, but you couldn't stop the momentum that was coming out of Junior Talents.
Yeah, so if that game is really even, the way that the tempo was going was actually just making fights more 50-50, which is why you saw things like the Kale picking up 2 massive shutdowns to be able to get the gold back in her pocket. But because of the gold advantage that was accrued early, all those extra stats from Drake's, the turrets picked up, that didn't make it a 50-50. It was more like an 80-20. So you saw most of the fights going the way of Junior Talents. And again, they're not able to slow the tempo. They can't do anything. This is that fight. Insanity, that's all 5 members right there. And the 2 flashes from Venisons and Slurps able to get him out. And then Aaron works back to front. You see Lee Sin gets onto the back line. You saw the Set ultimate as well, and there's just nothing left right here for the fight to continue. Just a phenomenally played engagement from Sarcasm and Insanity. Everybody had their plays in this one. Honestly, Aaron is the only one that didn't really have a fantastic highlight reel, but his damage was probably decent enough to make it work.
I mean, what's not shown is the moment right before that highlight that we just saw. Aaron did get the True Shot barrage onto about 2 before the Braum shield blocked it. So he was getting a significant amount of damage, just him being alive on the back end of that. That's how it all plays out. It turned into a very interesting, prolonged team fight that was just about harassing out Gang 7 until Junior Talents were willing to pull the trigger, which we saw right there.
Yeah, we saw actually, I believe it was the Gragas ultimate got thrown immediately at 1 Aaron to try to catch him from under tower, and they weren't able to lock him down. So like they went under tower to try to get 1 Aaron's Ezreal. He got too far back and they weren't able to engage onto him, so they lose the disengage tool of the Gragas ultimate, and that's part of what cost them that massive engagement.
Yeah, so and then looking at Gang 7, we do see some life from them, though, because it was a competitive game. It was back and forth. We did see some pretty good plays. Overall, much just more focused on the bot lane than anything else with that Sivir pick.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if they put more attention towards that bottom side, and instead of, maybe don't go the Kale, pick something that is a little bit more self-sufficient, especially into something like the Set, and then put more pressure on the bottom side with your Gragas. I thought the movement and the ganks from Best Turtle, my apologies, were really solid on this Gragas pick. Bringing him to the bottom lane, trying to get that Sivir ahead, really snowball that bottom lane to get first tower and things of that sort, probably would have actually made this game very competitive, but they put too many resources trying to save topside, and that ended up just costing them more.
Yeah, so now we're just... Only time will tell how that draft really starts to play out in the second game. I'm hoping to see enough in terms of changes for something that's a little bit more mid-game focused, but we'll find that out soon enough. We're going to throw it over a short break. We'll return in just a moment.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Just wanted to give you a quick update on the stream. I'll do my best to give you the best technical talk that my producer gave to me. Apparently, gremlins have invaded his computer, and he needs to quickly restart the stream to make sure we can get you the highest quality non-gremlin stream absolutely available. Not to mention, after that comes back, we will have a short timer to allow teams to get ready because, of course, their draft is invaded by gremlins as well. So we're going to take care of all the gremlins. They're going to be gone. We're going to be off air for just a few seconds here. We'll be right back after that. Draft will be coming shortly after that as well.